So, we have checked out the 4 easiest title runs in NBA history, and if you haven't seen it, you probably should before or after this video as you wish. I will let the link in the upper right corner of your screen, so feel free to check it out so you can get in context. Now, like I said in the last video, winning an NBA championship is never easy and will remain something only greats can accomplish, but over the years, there were a lot of different routes teams took to get to the title. Some were easy and others were a lot tougher. Today, we take a look at the most difficult runs to win an NBA championship. By the way, if you like the content and would want more, show your support, man. Let me know. You could also let me know how much you dislike what I do also. I mean, you're free of speech. Just don't be a ghost over here. That's all I'm saying. Number 1. The 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. I honestly believe that LeBron James' 4 rings were divided exactly in half. In the last video, I mentioned 2 of LeBron's 4 rings as pretty easy title runs for him, facing in 2012 the inexperienced OKC Thunder, and in 2020 avoiding their biggest test in the Clippers, playing a gassed out Nuggets team and also playing an injured Heat team in the finals. Now, that is just facts. But on the other hand, LeBron's other 2 rings were extremely different stories. In 2013, where they forced and won an extremely close Game 7 and series against the Spurs, but especially in 2016. LeBron has a special way of going about things during the regular season, but that's actually the smartest thing he can do. As he becomes older, LeBron needs to conserve some sort of energy to keep up and put it where it's 100% needed. During the regular season, LeBron probably plays at his 60% best, and it always makes it seem like the Raptors, Celtics, Hawks, or Heat might have a chance because they are not too far away in the rankings. But when the important games come along, you can clearly see the difference. LeBron always shows up and is able to beat these elite teams. In the second round of those playoffs, Cleveland had to face the tough Hawks, who finished the season 4th in the rankings and who had notable wins during the season, like beating the Celtics 3 times in the season, beating them in the first round in 6 games, also beating the Raptors, Thunder, and completing a close to 60% win season. Well, the Cavs made easy work of them completing a sweep pretty easily, and then in the third round they had to face the tough Raptors, who were extremely hungry for a championship. The Raptors finished just behind the Cavs in the season with 1 game separating the two. Cleveland took a lead and won their 2 home games, but the Raptors wouldn't give up and did the exact same thing, winning back-to-back games at home, bringing the series to a tie going back to Cleveland. Yet, thing is, when the Kings smell pressure, he feeds off of it. The Raps got completely destroyed in Game 5 by almost 40 fucking points, and then also getting rolled over in Game 6 at home, losing by another 30-point game with LeBron scoring 33 and 11 rebounds. DeMar later stated in an interview that it's practically impossible to beat LeBron in a playoff series because he knows and understands everything.
He's just unbeatable in the playoffs. He's so tough to beat, and it takes just a certain level of intellect to even get to his level.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I mean, I remember for years I always caught so much flack, us being the better team or whatever we was at one point in the Eastern Conference Finals, and people not realizing like it's tough to get past this motherfucker. I don't care who you are.
In the finals, Cleveland were set to face the best team on paper in NBA history. The team who just recently beat the record for most win with 73. The team with the back-to-back unanimous MVP and the top 5 best shooter in NBA history in Klay Thompson. A team who possessed the best bench with former All-Star like Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, an All-NBA Defensive Player of the Year in Draymond Green, and former first-round pick Andrew Bogut. Nobody's beating the Warriors, said Stephen A. Smith before the start of the finals, and that's how we all felt. The Warriors were too good, too deep, too many shooters, and simply much better. That is exactly what we expected in the first 4 games, where the Warriors took an easy 3-1 series lead, as we all know. Everybody in the back of their mind knew the season was over, and the Warriors were going to complete the best season in NBA history. Tristan Thompson later revealed that after that loss in Game 4, LeBron texted to his teammate this exact text: "I know we're down 3-1, but if you don't think we can win this series, then don't get on the fucking plane." That's crazy to me. The law of attraction is a law that proclaims that anything that you believe and think about must come true. No matter how big it is, you can never lose faith and lose hope. LeBron never did and kept the same mentality, 1 game at a time. With this motivation keeping them alive, the Cavs were able to win both Game 5 and 6 to force an amazing Game 7. Who saw that coming? LeBron showing up big, dropping back-to-back 40-point game to keep the Cavs season alive. And in Game 7, the late block shot over Iguodala and the iconic 3 from Irving were able to propulse the Cavs to a Game 7 win and the championship, realizing the one and only comeback down 3-1 in the finals, and achieving the impossible by beating the best team in the league, making this playoff run one of the most difficult we have ever seen. Number 2, the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. Well, the 2011 Dallas Mavericks are a very underrated team and season as a whole. There were no big superstar who were shooting from 50, outspoken and bringing drama to players or team. There were no big impressive dunkers or any type of big excitement making the team not super popular outside of Dallas. They were just simply good. Led by their big man and Hall of Famer Dirk Nowitzki, they knew how to win ball games. They didn't impress to another level in the regular season, finishing 3rd in the Western Conference. They had a lot of competition ahead. The Big 3 in Miami, the Kobe Lakers, the MVP Derrick Rose in Chicago, the Big 3 in San Antonio as well. I mean, this season was full of extremely good teams. In the first round of the playoffs, they had to face a very dangerous team in the Trailblazers, with LaMarcus Aldridge, Gerald Wallace, Wesley Matthews, and Brandon Roy. I mean, they were not an easy team to beat. After getting up 2-0 in the first games, Portland came back and won 2 back-to-back as well, making it a series. That is at that moment that you understand who has the championship mentality. Just like Cleveland in that last story, Dallas didn't take any chance, coming up very strong in the last 2 games, knocking out Portland in the playoffs and sending them home. In the second round, they had to face Kobe and the Lakers, the defending champions of the world. I don't need to tell you the type of team they had to face. When Kobe is playing against you, he is going at you non-stop. But that fact did not affect Dallas at all, as they were able to sweep the Lakers and advance to the Western Conference Finals, where they had to take on the young Thunder, who were filled with potential. But the inexperienced Thunders couldn't keep up with Dallas as they got sent home in 5 games. In the East, the Heat formed the greatest trio we have ever seen in a long time in the NBA. LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh wanted more than anything to prove to the world they were the best, and guess what? People believed they were the best. On paper, they were unbeatable, and certainly not a slow Dirk Nowitzki could stop them in their quest. Well, they did. To everybody's surprise, the underrated and least talked about team in the West were able to beat down the Big 3, and in a pretty dominant fashion too. Dirk and the Mavs were able to win the championship in 6 games, stunning the Heat and every single critic, media, and fans around the world. This single ring, in my opinion, is worth more than KD's 2 rings in Golden State, and made Dirk a definite Hall of Famer, completing an incredible career. Number 3, 2019 Toronto Raptors. Now, in the last video I mentioned the Raptors to have a lucky finals against the Warriors, but we can actually make a case for them to have had an extremely difficult run to the title as well, to even reach the finals. The Raptors made a risky move trading for Kawhi Leonard in the offseason, knowing he didn't want to be in Toronto and that his contract would be up in the next offseason. Toronto put everything they got into that 2019 year to make sure the city, the whole country would be proud and bring the first championship in franchise history. The Raptors had a great season, finishing 2nd in the Eastern Conference with full of competition. We saw an Eastern Conference as balanced as we've seen in a long time, and the Raptors were not out of reach. In the first round, they had to face a very underrated Magic team who finished the regular season with a 4-win streak. They even were able to take game 1 of that series against the Raptors and send chills down Raptors fans' spine. But everything was okay as the Raps came back and won 4 games in a row. They were now set to face the young and tough 76ers with Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons. A lot of media had the 76ers winning the championship that year, and certainly being extremely capable of knocking out the Toronto Raptors right here and there. The 76ers were able to get an early 2-1 lead in the series with another game to play in Philly. It was not looking so good for the Raptors, but the Raps were able to squeeze a win by 5 in Game 4 to tie the series up and carried that momentum to Game 5, winning another game, but this time by 35 points. The Sixers would not let up as they were able to force a Game 7 back in Toronto. Now, we know what happened, but we forgot how much pressure and difficulty it was for Toronto to squeeze out that victory. They had to do it with a buzzer beater, a couple bounces of luck, and some hope. A lot of people believe that if that game went to overtime, the 76ers were going to win this game, but, well, it didn't happen. Now, after doing this impossible task, the job was not close to being done. The Raps had to go through the best team in the NBA, the Bucks, and their reigning MVP. Getting down a 2-0 hole in the start of the series, it wasn't looking good. Stephen A. Smith even said on First Take after Game 1, "I'm already ready to declare this series is over. They can't beat these boys."
Well, you should be worried. You should be very worried because it's one game into the series, and I'm already ready to declare this series is over. They can't beat these boys.
Well, maybe just what comes out of Stephen A. Smith's mouth is a bit biased, but when it comes down to it, few gave Raptors any chances in that series. The Raptors stunned everybody, winning 4 straight and winning that series in 6, reaching the first final in history. In the finals, I can admit they got pretty lucky with Durant being out for the majority of the series and Klay Thompson also getting injured in the last game, but it's still the 2-time back-to-back champions, the Warriors. Steph, Klay, Draymond, Iggy, and a bunch of talented players were still there during the beginning of the series, and the Raptors made easy work of them. What would have happened if KD wasn't hurt? I actually did a video about that, but in the grand scheme, we will never know. All I know is that the overall run the Raptors had in the playoffs was one of the greatest we've ever seen, and certainly one of the most difficult as well. Number 4, 2014 San Antonio Spurs. After heartbreakingly falling short in the previous year's finals against Miami, the Spurs were looking for revenge and did not care who was standing in front of them. In the first round, they were facing the recent NBA champions, Dallas Mavericks, and Dirk Nowitzki, who pushed them to a hard-fought Game 7 series. The Spurs were ultimately able to win Game 7 and went on to face the Blazers in the second round. The Blazers, who finished the season winning 9 of their last 10 games, were on a complete tear, but the Spurs were a lot more motivated and weren't going to stop until that championship was theirs. They took care of business in Game 5 against Portland and beat KD, Russell, and the Dangerous Thunder in the Western Conference Final in 6 games as well. The awaited rematch against Miami was there, and he worked extremely hard to reach that level again. They could not let that opportunity slide again as they beat down Miami in 5 games and made LeBron go back in the East and completely destroy the Heat dynasty. Who do you think had the toughest one out of these 4 crazy runs? I really want to hear y'all out. I hope you had some fun or learned something new. And with that being said, have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.